All right, good morning, everyone. It's Thursday at 10:45, this week's edition of our lead meeting here. And if we could go to our agenda right away, we have a number of topics that have come to us that we believe you'll find valuable as we conclude our school years in many of our schools here. And again, I'm going to start off with league staff transitions that have come up. Some of you may be aware and others may not. So Eric, I'm going to turn it over to you at this time.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. And good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us here today. As is the time and is happening in schools as well, transitions take place. And with our program here at the Minnesota State High School League, we are anticipating some transitions that will take place following the completion of this school year. And as Bob said, a number of you may have heard information already, but Lynn Johnson has served our schools and our league for a number of years, primarily in the role as executive assistant to the director. And I've appreciated all the work that Lynn has done, and she will be moving on to other pursuits at the end of the school year. And we want to say thank you to her. We know how closely our ADs especially work with members of the league and our staff here, and know that folks have lots of contact with folks. So this is important. In another transition, Jody Redmond has indicated that she is going to resign from the league following the end of the school year to pursue other passions and aspects. And to tell you more about that, I want to turn that to Jody at this time.
Thanks, Eric, and good morning, everyone. So it is with both sadness and excitement that I have decided to resign my position with the league. I'm so incredibly grateful for the past 19 years. I will be moving into a more full-time position with Inside Out. Inside Out has grown significantly since we launched in 2015. We're now working with 14 state associations and 17 NFL teams. And my hope is to continue to serve you and your member schools through the initiative and in partnership with the Vikings and the league. I've heard from so many of you over the years that in order to address the issues that we face at the high school level, that we need to move into the youth sports space. So another area that I will focus on is with national governing bodies in several youth sports to expand purpose-based education for parents and other stakeholders with the hopes of running a positive thread through the 12K space. My time with the league has been all about relationships. And I have appreciated the opportunity to know and work with so many of you and to call you my friends. Sorry. This is what I will miss the most. So I want to thank each of you for your ongoing work to provide students with meaningful opportunities to learn and grow through athletics and activity programs. And I really would like to thank you for the past 19 years. It has been an incredible honor. Thank you. Eric?
Thank you, Jody, and thanks to both Lynn and Jody for all of their years of service. And we are not through the school year yet, and they're going to continue to assist us in getting our way through all of our programs and our tournaments. And so I think that that's really important. You had a glance at the agenda just a slide ago. We had our representative assembly meeting on Tuesday. And it's always important that folks understand the representative assembly process and recognize that that is the way in which bylaws are adjusted or changed. And those come through amendments that are suggested by a number of different groups that can do that, different associations, coaches association, et cetera. It can come through a group of member schools, it can come from the board of directors, and it can come from the representative assembly itself. But any amendment needs to go out to our regions first of all, and has to be approved by at least 9 of our 16 regions for it to be voted on. And again, the Representative Assembly is basically the legislature of the Minnesota State High School League, and it is where our member schools make the decisions around when bylaws should be changed, added, deleted, et cetera. Each of your regions will create or select 3 members to represent your region when it comes to voting. And so each of those amendments is brought forward to the Rep Assembly, information is shared out, an opportunity for caucus groups to discuss each of the items that's before the board, or I should say before the assembly, takes place prior to the holding of a vote. And obviously at this time, we've had to do this virtually, and many thanks to those members of the Rep Assembly for their time and their passion and their work to assess where things are at. And when it comes to voting on amendments, it is not a simple majority, but it requires a 2/3 majority in order for an item to be passed or for an amendment to change. And so in the voting on Tuesday, The rep assembly added a postseason division for girls who choose to wrestle in their own girls division. I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like and what the details are with that. The other item that was considered was the addition of boys volleyball as its own program and season. And so we call that full sanctioning of boys volleyball. It was a very close vote, and it came a couple votes short of being approved in this rep assembly. And so as you think about and as people consider where we are as a league, I anticipate that we will see some proposals for amendment coming. And again, the deadline for those to start the process is October 15th when it comes to resetting any of the bylaws that are part of the Minnesota State High School League. And circling back to wrestling, I think there's some clarifications. And again, remember that this is a unique approach. It has been used by a number of other states, specifically those very near to us. Neighbors to the west and to the east have done the same, and others in our section of the Midwest have done this. But your girls or your wrestling program remains a wrestling program. At this time, both boys and girls are welcome to wrestle within our wrestling programs, and we did not create a separate girls-only wrestling program. What was approved was the opportunity for girls in wrestling to choose to participate in a postseason competition specific to girls only. They still are able to wrestle in the wrestling division with all of its weight classes that competes with both boys and girls, but they do have the opportunity to choose to wrestle in the girls postseason only. So again, your school, if you choose to have wrestling, registers for wrestling, and that may be as a standalone school, or that might be through a co-op. But there are not specific girls only co-ops that are being created because there is not a girls wrestling program. There's only a wrestling program. So if you would create a co-op for wrestling that would only allow girls, that would be your wrestling program. So again, girls and boys will wrestle together through the regular season. When we get to the end of the season, girls will have the choice as to how they want to compete within the postseason. Again, the maximums that apply to programs to wrestlers is 16 contest dates. When it comes to the individual wrestler, they as well are limited to no more than 5 matches on any one day, and they are limited to 45 matches total for the course of the year. And that would be inclusive of individual invites, team duels, tries, quads, or other team events that take place, regardless of where those might be, whether they be JV or varsity. Again, unique to wrestling are those abilities to have separate individual and or team competitions, you know, most often on weekends if they're larger in nature. But if it is a dual, try, or quad, a JV contest and a varsity contest combined in a duel counts as one event. But if it's an individual invite or something like that, that also is one event. And our wrestling coaches are very well prepared to be able to count both program dates and also the individual requirements that apply to our students. So I know that more work will be done. We have collected language and approaches from states near us as to how they have implemented this initially and what that looks like. But again, when we start the season, we will have boys and girls in the same program. The weight classes have been established. They will get certified for a weight class regardless of their gender. And that will indicate where they are safe to wrestle and how low those things can go. And then as we work our way through, the division for girls postseason will be more fully fleshed out as to what that looks like. I think we're going to transition on to just one clarifying piece. And so the last time that we met, we were at the point of rules changing and requirements changing for how you manage events. So currently we have indoor requirements for capacity and masks. Those are required on the indoor side of things if you still have events that you're hosting. And this can also apply to other programs that might be going on in your school. When you are outdoors, the limits have been lifted in terms of numbers. However, when you have fewer than 500 spectators, masks are not required for the spectators. Many of your events can be in these non-controlled scenarios where lots of access points might be the case. People can walk to it from multiple parking lots or across a park or whatever. But then if you have over 500 spectators in a controlled location, some kind of a fenced in school or community venue, then masks are required when you're over 500. Again, It's always recommended that we use touchless ticketing, that we don't have concession points that are going to create gathering, those kinds of things. But it also is a case where you're not required to register those spectators and keep a list when you are outdoors. As of May 28th, capacity limits for indoors will be removed. And again, mask requirements for gatherings over 500 will continue. And then when we hit 70% vaccination rate, or we reach July 1, whichever one is first, the mask mandate will be removed. And then we are in a position where we don't have the limitations on our spectators that we've had in the past. If we move ahead one slide, one place that has been a little bit maybe misconstrued or misunderstood. So again, list of attendees is required for indoor events, and that's around contact tracing. Outdoor events does not require that. Electronic ticketing is a really good solution to be able to manage that in those places where you do ticketing. Your control and responsibility for programs continues. So for your student athletes, student participants, coaches, those that are in charge of your programs, if you have a verified positive case, contact tracing is still required. And so as you've done with classrooms and other aspects of your school program, some have construed the not having to register those folks that attend as spectators to mean that we don't have to do any contact tracing with our students. That is not true. You still are required to monitor your students, and where there is positive cases, you need to do the contact trace. We know that outdoors, and especially for individuals that are fully vaccinated, that means that there is less likelihood of quarantine. And that is what the goal is, to try to create safe spaces outdoors where students won't be considered close contact. And when students are fully vaccinated, they also are not required to quarantine. Bob, that's a lot of information, but I'm going to turn it to you and to clean up anything that I might have missed in those two slides.
Eric, nice job. Take a breath, and a lot of information shared. And I'm just going to back up quickly to Rep Assembly. I think a couple things that really stood out for our membership is we had at least two proposals seeking opportunities through your programming to be a part of the Minnesota State High School League. I think that's affirmation as to what you offer, and also what the Minnesota State High School League offers to your programming, and what you offer in terms of students connecting to your programs and those opportunities. We're going to continue to see people seeking access and affirmation through the Minnesota State High School League. And I appreciate our Rep Assembly for making votes, using their voices, and representing every school in the state of Minnesota well. And I think, again, we'll continue to look at that and the proposal as to how they come forward. We believe those are school proposals that should be coming forward for what you represent through the Minnesota State High School League. So, Eric, I thank that group, and I thank you for really defining what those proposals did. When we look at contact tracing, and there's conversations and or chats that are coming to me directly. If we could go back to that slide, please, Laura. Through contact tracing, again, just to reiterate that these are MDH terms that we'll continue to utilize. And as you work through them, what that looks like in terms of either tracing that needs to take place and or who you're working with, we'll do our best to guide you with that. Anything further on contact tracing before we head into our next slide, please?
Let me just clarify one thing around fully vaccinated, if I can. So again, fully vaccinated is 2 weeks after your second dose. If you have students who are fully vaccinated, they've reached that level, and they're identified to be a close contact, MDH has said that they do not need to quarantine, simply watch their symptoms, and if they have any, then they should move forward with quarantine and testing to identify where they are at. But again, that fully vaccinated student who's participating, who would be deemed a close contact, does not need to go through the quarantine process as those who would not be vaccinated. So I just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, and with that being said too, so one of the questions that came to me was around, do we have to register those in attendance? And again, if you look at that first bullet, that is for all indoor events and electronic ticketing. If you're using that, is that list of who is in attendance at those events. Hopefully that assists with some of those questions. Let's talk about our upcoming tournaments here. And again, Heading into the spring, we continue to follow our guiding principles. Health and safety is our #1 priority, as well as offering experiences that are traditional in nature, trying to honor those to the best of our ability, creating access for spectators, and again, being responsible financially and being able to offer these in an efficient manner in a season that has been really different again, even though more similar to past years, it is different than our winter season. So we're going to work through each of these and understand this. When we're looking at managing these actual tournaments, we'll continue with online programs. Media will be allowed and will be in attendance, and it may even look different than the winter. There will be limited personnel. So we're going to try and minimize who's essential at our tournaments. We'll continue to use online ticketing, right? Paperless, hopefully cashless to the best of our ability. And that is something that we'll continue to look at probably in future years post-COVID, offering streaming and broadcast where we possibly can to get as many viewers or as many opportunities to view what our student athletes do. And then awards and recognition at the end of our tournaments. How does that look different or more similar than maybe in past years? As we look at each of these that we're going to offer, you're going to notice some patterns. Around our adapted sports, you're going to notice that it is a virtual competition where they will be submitting their scores. You can note the weeks of May 10th and 17th for adapted bowling, excuse me. Again, adapted softball. It's a practice season, no state tournament. And this was a recommendation around MAAA and MSHSL staff. Robotics will be a virtual competition. There will be a awards presentation on May 29th. Submissions are due on May 22nd. Again, for virtual submissions, it is a video performance utilizing this year's robot. Baseball, we have four venues at 3 sites. AAA will be at Chaska, 4A will be at Chaska, AAA at Jordan. Class 2A and 1A will both be at St. Cloud. CHS was not able to be utilized this year. Schedule that they received late from the Minnesota Twins being a AAA affiliate now with the Twins. But our championship will be at Target Field. Note that the championship date is on the 18th with a rain date on the 19th. Again, you're going to see a pattern here in some of these team competitions where you're going to have a championship bracket. There will be a 3rd place game, different from the winter tournaments, but there will not be a consolation bracket. Softball, similar in terms of the format that I mentioned, Tuesday and Wednesday, June 15th and 16th, with the rain date as the 17th. They will continue to be at Caswell Park in Mankato. Lacrosse will be at a high school venue the week of June 14th. Again, championship and 3rd place games. Golf will have 3 venues that are the same. Class A up at Pebble Creek, 2A at the Ridges in Jordan. Bunker Hills will be our 3A venue. 15th and 16th, it's a 2-day tournament. Team and individual scores as normal. Tennis, we have a Class A site at St. Cloud Tech, working on a high school venue for our AA site. Team will be June 8th and 9th. Individual will be June 10th and 11th. Day 1 and 2 will be the team bracket or championship bracket. Day 3 and 4 will be individuals. Again, Jody, thanks for all your work in trying to find venues for tennis and accommodating those schools and student athletes. Same as track and field. Thank you to St. Michael Albertville for being our venue. The 17th, you notice that it'll be the 3,200 meter race for all divisions. The 18th is Class A, 2 separate sessions, 1 for girls, 1 for boys. June 19th is our AA, 2 separate sessions again, 1 for girls, 1 for boys. This will be a timed finals and for all running events. Field events to be determined. And again, you think about the number of student athletes and the number of spectators that would go along with the number of student athletes. Again, the recommendation and what it will be done will be that time finals for all running events. Play target. was at the Minneapolis Gun Club on June 26th. It's a traditional format, 100 shots per participant, and I believe that is typical. District football, a lot of conversations. Thank you to our district football committee. Thank you to our district football chairs. We met this last week. Again, I know there's a meeting this morning with many of our districts and the chairs working on creating sub-districts and then your schedules. Remember, this is the first year that we did it in alignment with competitive section placement. And although there were maybe 20 to 25 changes on the district side, that could equate into bigger changes as we look at our sub-districts, some looking to align within their sections, some are in different classifications. Again, that will create different opportunities for their regular season schedule. Because the time was so short this year, we're learning some things as well. There are frustrations in some of our classes and districts. We're going to continue to work to get better at that and provide the best possible route for each of our schools that we can, knowing that some get what they're looking for while others don't. Again, and this is a 2-year cycle. And I believe we will have conversations next year again in preparation for the following year as to how we can better that process, both in being effective and efficient, but also in terms of communication. Please note that these districts, along with the schedules, will be confirmed or voted upon by our board on June 1st, but I would not expect changes to those schedules as you work towards finalizing those. Some quick takes as we finish here. The summer waiver is available. The most up-to-date form is there for you. I believe it's on your dashboard. Laura, at the end, correct me if I'm wrong. We've started to look at the future of our lead meetings. Again, how do we communicate with you on a regular basis around the information that is most important? Look forward to lead meetings continuing into next year, but less frequent. And utilizing this form of communication, again, when necessary, is something that we will continue to do. Yet we hear about parts of our state and making sure that we continue to come out to you. We will be planning on doing so next year or next fall with our fall area meetings. So our fall area meetings will be returning next year. There have also been questions around what does next fall bring? Right? As we continue to progress or climb our way out of a pandemic, we all seek a way to go back to what was more normal. I wish I had that crystal ball that could tell you what next fall looks like, but I think all signs are pointing in the right direction. Things around guidance, things around limited access to our programming. We hope that is a thing of the past, but we have to continue to watch and see how we do this summer. So I would like to say that things will look very normal next fall. But again, we continue to monitor that and we will get you that information as things change here. I just would like to acknowledge what Eric shared and Jody, the emotion that you were able to show in your time here with the Minnesota State High School League, what you have given to the organization in each of our member schools. Thank you, Jody. We know we're going to continue to work with you. And I think for our member schools, we know that that's a big void to fill. We need to fill that void and how that looks. There'll be more information coming out, but we look forward to adding someone like Jody right into that mix to continue to serve our member schools as she has done. So Jody, thank you. Thank you to Lynn, but they're with us for a while yet. We get to enjoy that period of time. We know they'll serve us well. Otherwise, Eric, anything else I missed here today?
Bob, I just want to echo what you said about our quality staff members and the great work that they've done, and also let our schools know that we will be posting positions here very soon because processes need to take place as we move forward on that. And in terms of fall area meetings, I know it was on the slide. It is our goal to be able to come and connect with you in person to begin the school year, as we traditionally have done many, many times over. And so we look forward to that opportunity. As Bob said, that is tentatively planned, but that's the way that we're working toward. And know that this has been a good way to share information as it's been needed, and want to capitalize on that. but we do value the opportunity to meet face-to-face, have conversations, and get to know people as well, and recognize we will have new members within our school in terms of ADs and other leaders, and it'll be great to be able to connect with those folks as well. So appreciate it. It's a beautiful day out today. Hope that lots of competitions can take place, and again, great experiences and great memories for our students as they participate in the programs that we all work to provide.
Eric, I'm noting and Laura noted it in chat here too, and I don't know if that's directly to me. I misspoke, or maybe our slide was incorrect, but play target is June 25th and the 26th is a rain date. So that was incorrect. Again, play target is June 25th with a rain date on June 26th. Have a great day. Keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate all that you do. Thank you.